Welcome back to another episode of the Sales Playbook Podcast. And today I have a very special guest, my beautiful wife.
Hello, honey.
How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Hey, I'm glad you're here. We drove together.
We did.
Yeah. We're going to talk about some of the adventures we had when we first started. And today, I can't believe the life that we have now. Like, seriously, like, we're healthy.
Blessed.
We have beautiful children, beautiful grandbabies. We got another one on the way. Like, we're empty nesters.
That's how it started.
But I remember back when we first got started, like, I think sometimes we forget about that. And I want to be relatable to other people out there that are watching and listening to this. Like, I remember the last year you had left in the military. You were pregnant.
Oh.
I was unemployed. I just got out of the Army. I'm chopping wood, okay, in the foothills.
In Montana.
Making like $30 a day. Chopping firewood, okay? And I remember coming off of being super hard charging, military, and now I'm chopping wood. And it's like, you're pregnant. Do you remember, like, we literally had, our budget for food was $50 a week.
And that included
a week.
When we had the baby formula, diapers.
I mean, this isn't like 1942, okay, people? Like, this was 1991, 92.
92, yeah.
And so we were getting ready to move back to Columbus, Ohio. And remember, we didn't even have enough money for me to take an airplane ride to Columbus, Ohio. I took a Greyhound bus from Great Falls, Montana to Columbus, Ohio. You remember that?
I know.
It's crazy.
You forget about those.
We didn't have enough money for that.
No, we didn't have any.
And it's kind of like we black it out. Like, I don't even know how to go back there. But again, there's people out there that are struggling that want to get into sales, and that there's this bigger picture. Because, the life that we've created is pretty unbelievable. But
it didn't start that way.
No, but there's this other half or the beginning half, that we ate a lot of shit. Like, it was rough. It was rough. So we get back to Columbus, Ohio. We get our first sales job. And what's funny is that, looking back on that, now we're working together in sales.
30 years later.
And we started off working together in sales. And that was when we worked for the photography company.
Yes.
And I was pitching. I was basically in the grocery store trying to get people to sign up so that they would come in and get their photo taken. And then that way what would happen is then you would sell them the photos. And remember the pitch, like, that was the first time of me really truly being in sales. And I remember, like, getting 200, 300 people telling me no. And you're like, hey, honey, how's work today? I go, I don't want to talk about it. And I was drinking back then and, probably overdoing it. And it was so hard because I knew I wanted it. I knew I could do it, but it wasn't happening.
And we didn't have much money, right? We had to save up quite a bit of money just to move, because we were both coming from the military into a sales job, and we had to put down a hefty deposit. I even remember we had that hard conversation. We actually both sobbed, cried, when we knew that we couldn't take our dog with us.
I know.
Because the extra security deposit, I look back on it now, it still makes me sad. I love the dog. But she went to a good home.
We couldn't afford an extra $200 for the deposit.
We didn't have it.
That's insane. And so going through all that and kind of cutting my teeth in that sales environment and just being, I just remember being like super down on myself. I didn't feel like I was worth who I was.
Well, it was a hard time, right? We just got out of the military and you were hard charging. And I mean, I really enjoyed that time in my life too. And to get out of that security of healthcare and a job, a paycheck every 2 weeks, and to go into sales where we were both 100% commission, we were freaking out.
Yeah.
And when you would come home and say, oh, honey, I only got 2 people signed up, that's not paying the rent. And there was a lot of pressure on you, on me too.
But
you had to get them to want to sign up.
But remember, I started kind of practicing the craft and getting better at the pitch and started getting people signed up, and you got better at the selling of the portraits. And then next thing you know, like a year went by and we were like, oh my God, like I think it was $54,000.
Or something like that.
We made $54,000 and we were like, oh my God.
That was 1992. That was a lot of money.
We were like, we've made it.
The sales bug bit us.
We're like, this is it. And then of course, I wanted more. I wanted more. And I remember a buddy of mine said, dude, you should get into car sales.
Oh.
And then that's when I got into car sales. And I thought, being in the picture business and standing in the grocery store, like that was hard. And, being at the dealership, that was crazy. And
that was hard on a marriage.
That was very hard. That was very hard. We had pagers back then. Like we weren't able to talk all the time and, had 10, 12-hour shifts. And, that was a crazy time as well. But I was starting to get it. And then we were like, there's something about Columbus, Ohio that we're like, let's get out of here. Remember we moved to
Chicago. We came on vacation. We went to see our friends here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Courtney's in the pool at 8 a.m. It's 105 degrees and she's having a blast. And we were like, we don't have to stay in Ohio. Let's be adventurous. And we packed up a U-Haul.
And we headed out west.
Parents thought we were crazy.
Our parents, the non-support that we got was definitely disappointing for sure. I've always been the black sheep, so I was used to it. So I'm like, whatever. I'm an adult now with a credit card. Screw you. And we lived our life. And coming out here and getting set up. And again, car sales is what brought me out here. Like I owe everything I've learned for the most part to car sales.
Your sales skills.
Sales skills, the car business, like, yes, there's a crazy environment. I mean, kudos to anyone out there that is a car salesperson. Like, listen, that is the true sales of interacting with someone else. The art of communication. It's so much combined into one thing. And for those salespeople that are out there, don't abuse that. This is a gift. You can make a lot of money in the car business, and don't take it for granted. Like you're destined to do something great, whether you're trying to be the GSM or the GM, or if you're trying to buy your own dealership someday, like stick with it. But I will tell you, that was the stepping ground for me to go to the next level in what we're doing today. And I owe a lot to that.
That's right. You do. And when you got into the real estate sales, it was a lot different, right? You had to slow that pace way down.
You told me a lot. You need to chill out.
No, you need to slow your roll. That's what I would say.
And again, I'm in car sales. It's 2001. You then decide, I'm going to get my license.
Yes.
You're going to get your license. You get going in sales. What was that, especially for new people that are getting into, I don't care, any type of sales. Real estate, car, it doesn't matter. Sales is sales. What was that feeling you had when you first got into sales? Like, what was the mindset that you had?
Well, remember, I was still in the accounting world, and I worked for a software firm at the time. So my comfort zone was I had my foot still in this and my foot still in that. And that first year I think I made $13,000 that first year. And I knew that I couldn't be really, really good at sales if I didn't have my heart 100% in it.
Right.
So that's when I decided to make that transition from the accounting world into the sales world. And my best friend at the time was a loan officer. And we always talked about real estate. And I was like, I don't know. I just always had this fascination with it. So for me, it was intriguing. It was exciting. It was something that I wanted to go in full bore. But I had to push all my chips in. And that was coming to you saying, I need your support and, backing me to make this transition because of my health insurance and, the comforts of having a normal job with all the benefits of it.
Well, and I think that this is the important part. Whether boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, you have to get a buy-in from both sides because a lot of times it's, oh yeah, you go do your thing. When it doesn't work, you can, fall back on getting a job or whatever. And it's like, we were like, well, screw it. I mean,
I'd never thought that. That was one funny thing is I knew when I put all the chips on the table that I didn't want to go back to the accounting world. Like it wasn't even a thought like this is going to work or it's going to work.
Right. Well, and that's important too. Like, again, like you got to believe in what you're going to do, number one, and you have to have support.
And passion for it and excitement for it. Because I've always loved people. And that was one of the things being in the accounting world is like everyone that were friends of ours were like, why are you in the accounting world? Like, it's not your personality. And I think I heard that so many times. By the 15th time, I was like, why am I doing this? Because it's comfortable? Because it's something I know how to do and
you got
I do
a steady
it well.
paycheck.
And that's how I was raised. I was raised, you stay with a job 30 years and you retire. And here I am like, we were in Ohio, then we moved to Chicago, and then we moved to Arizona. Our families thought we were crazy. You need to settle down.
They did not support us on that.
No.
They were like...
No. We're like, we're going out west.
We're going to go stake our claim.
That's right. That's
right.
right.
Remember the pushback we got? That was crazy.
So getting into real estate was exciting because, number one, our friends were in the real estate world. One was a pretty high up at Desert Schools, and the other gal was a loan officer. So we talked about real estate all the time, and she was always so encouraging, like, Kim, you're so outgoing. Why don't you look into that piece of it? Because I had no interest in the numbers side of it. I didn't want to be a loan officer.
Right.
Like, if I'm going to leave a sales career or I'm going to leave my accounting career, I didn't want it to be still with numbers.
Right.
I just want to...
Just 3% of whatever the price is.
That's the only math I want to know. But also that love for people and being able to help them in a different way, I think is what really helped me want to do this. Like that first-time home buyer, those people that have to help their family with a death in the family. And, that piece where I'm an integral part in helping them achieve that goal. One of my clients, I didn't even share this with you, she had a baby. And it was so special. I sent them flowers because, I love to do that stuff. And she sends me a message back saying, thank you so much for helping us choose our home 4 years ago. Now I get to raise my son in this home.
Oh.
And thanked me. And
yeah.
that's the piece that I love.
That's the bonus that you can't put a price tag on.
I can't put a price on that. And knowing that they're going to raise this little guy and I get to watch him on Instagram and Facebook because it's what I love, is very, very rewarding.
Well, do they need a bigger house now that they have a child?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. No.
Tell them now's a good time to sell. So here you are, a solo agent, didn't join a team, didn't really do a bunch of crazy self-development. Like I know you went to some seminars here and there. And
it's all self-development on my own and not really having a lot of guidance because back when I got my license, there wasn't a lot of teams I didn't even exist. You
Right.
signed up with a brokerage and you're on your own. There was a lot of people that would maybe mentor you. So I did do that. With I think my first 3 to 5 transactions, having a mentor, make sure you're doing it right. But they didn't teach me sales. You know, I was taught more of how to keep the paperwork right and the timelines of the contract so that you're keeping on track. So that piece, the sales piece, I didn't really have a lot of experience other than portrait sales. So that's where I leaned on you.
So where did you get your sales coaching from? Tell people. I want you to tell, like, again, husband and wife, you know, some couples, you know, oh, he's always nagging on me, or she won't get off my back, like, take the garbage out, blah, 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 your underwear's on the floor.
Oh, Lord.
But we had it different.
Right.
Like, we're always on each other in the sense of, like, and again, and I know you hate it, but I hear certain things and it's like, I want to make it better.
And it's not that I hate it. Like, I just think at this point in my career.
You used to.
Well, in the beginning, I'm like, darn it, you're always right. But now I think.
So what was that? Say it clearly into the microphone.
I think there was storm just happened. No, when early in my career, it's like I didn't have the techniques that you had. And you would, and sometimes it was annoying, but I think a lot of it was just me being nervous, right? You're like, Kimmy, put it on mute. And I'd have to listen to you. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta pay attention to them. I don't know how to do that well. So I would get more nervous about not making it feel awkward, jumping back on the phone. But then I would do what you would say.
That shit works.
And then I would get off the phone and I'd look at you and go, he's right. You're right. You're right.
And not
it worked.
Not that I wanted to be right. It's like communication is the key to everything. It's
Right.
the key to us. It's the key with anyone that we're friends with. It's anyone that is our client of ours. Like, the communication thing is something that people overlook that. It drives, and that's the part that it's like, it's fixable.
Well, people just want to get to the point.
Well, they're like, just tell me what to say.
Tell me what to say, because you can do everything now fast. But that's not how you build, a relationship. And in this business, it is a relationship. How many weddings have we been to? Baby showers.
Oh my God, yes.
Thank goodness not many funerals, but it's more than just, real estate's more than just a sale. But you have to learn how to communicate with people and be on that level where they're at. And I think that piece gets missed because a lot of agents now, and I don't know if it's just because now we're getting older, but they only want to communicate in their texts or their phone, and they don't want to talk on the phone.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the communication aspect, because I feel like since COVID, there's been something different is going on with communication. Okay. The Zoom calls, we were able to kind of like, how do you want to say, put a Band-Aid on how we communicated by seeing someone in person, but on a Zoom call.
Correct.
That worked for a moment. And then it's like corporate America. And then everyone just kind of like overused it to a point to where, I got to get on another Zoom call, and, kind of complaining about it. People were working remote. The world was just in shambles and whatnot. And,
it was a scary time.
we're getting back in the swing of things. And now it's like this back to the human touch and literally looking at someone in their eyes and shaking their hand or meeting them in person for the first time. How can we help people, especially salespeople, how can we help them understand that the art of communication is the most important piece of this?
Right.
And again, we can do all the trainings, we can do all the role playing, we can put together scripts after script, have everyone memorize it, but if they don't understand how to communicate, it just falls on deaf ears. As we have learned from people in the past that have come and gone on the team because they quit on themselves, okay, which is fine. Maybe I could have been a better leader and helped them through it. But at the end of the day, when people don't put the energy and effort into something, it's hard to help.
Right.
So communication, what do you think you have grown into or learned over the time that you have now been a realtor for 22 years, okay? 22 years.
2002.
And you're still open-minded to learning and doing all that stuff. Like, let's drive that point home, because I think that's important. Because you know that's my thing, is like the communication piece of it.
Well, for me, it's always been, I want to get in front of the person that I'm going to be helping. Because you're right. It's like back then, you would set up a time to meet, kind of discuss the game plan of what their real estate needs were. You get to look them in the eye. You get to see their body language. And it was always so important for me to get in front of someone.
What have you been learning, though, over these last few years in terms of literally how to talk to people? Because I feel like it's evolved over these, I mean, think about it, 22 years in the business. You would think, oh, well, what would change about communication? Like, what has been some of your things that you're like, God, if these people would only...
Right. Well, again, back then, it was, you wanted to get the appointment to meet them in person so that you could, form a bond, I guess, so to speak. Then that kind of evolved to the phone call. People want to have a longer conversation, maybe on the phone, maybe not meet, because take in mind, a lot of our clients are relocating.
Right.
They're not going to fly here and meet with you. So you had to kind of evolve from that and get into that conversation on the phone and really listen to tonality to really know, is this sincere? Is this what's important to them, and kind of hear that. And then during COVID, then of course, Zoom calls became more popular, doing video showings, selling homes that people never even saw because they trusted us. And I think a lot of that trust came over the 20-some years of gathering these reviews online. So that's where a lot of consumers go now, and a lot of our business comes from online reviews.
Which is crazy. Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. I've been in 3 appointments this week alone that, they said to me, we Googled, good agents in the Scottsdale, Phoenix area, and, we pop up on the first page. That's a, accreditation to us over the few years of working really hard. Not few, lots.
Yeah. Okay, so again, I want to drive the point home on communication. Like, do you find it, because I find it harder now to literally to have a real conversation with someone because of the wanting to text
Right.
and take the shortcuts. And, we're in a world of chatbots and AI and all this stuff to help us with communication, except the human element is being taken out of it. Because again, I always joke, like, I can order something on Amazon at 9 a.m. and then I'm freaking out that at 4 o'clock it hasn't been delivered yet. So we're just in that, snap the fingers, Uber Eats, and my God, what was it yesterday at BlackRock? They were saying that people get BlackRock coffee Ubered to them, and 1 cup of coffee will end up costing $20.
And that's a small.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
like, what?
Like, we are in la la land in terms of with that speed of just people wanting things instantly.
They want things fast. They want things accurate, and they want it right now. And I think that's the piece where I don't know that gets better. I think that's how we kind of slow down that conversation.
We have to.
And we have to be better listeners. It's like listening to what they're having to say. And if we're together, you can observe that. Observing it is maybe a tonality or what they're saying on the phone, and validate what they're saying. I hear what you're saying. There's a pain point in selling their house, like the couple that their dad is has dementia and they're
Right.
struggling right now, and what they want to do. And then, expand on that a little deeper of what is it that we can do to help that process go along quicker or slower, or, whatever the consumer really wants. And then really listen to that answer to dig deeper. And I think that's one of our best qualities, is to be very deep listeners. To get to the pain point, or you don't like to call it pain point, but I call it the pain point. Like, what is that one thing that we can help them with to achieve their goal, other than, hey, can you sell my house? Hey, can you sell my house? Because that's what the chatbots are doing.
Right.
That's what the speed to lead phone calls are doing. It's insane to me. I think you have to have a good relationship with your realtor. It's like having a good relationship in marriage. You're married for a while, especially when you're listing their home.
Yeah, no kidding. It can be 30 days, 45, or 120, depending upon how it's priced.
How do you feel about today's market and where we're at, and how to communicate with people?
Well, I think people have the attention span of a gnat, and they're unfocused. They're unfocused because of social media. They're unfocused because of all these other things that are on the outside. So we're put in that clutter, okay, in that white noise in their headspace, and we're trying to make ourselves different and stand out so that we can kind of slow the process down.
Give them comfort. Yeah.
Oh my God. And I think it's hard. It's not easy, but that's where you have to find that one spot where there's either some type of common ground or something that can change their pattern interrupter to get them off kilter a little bit and get focused on what that end result is, whether it's buying or selling or meeting for the first time, whatever that may be. And it's not, and I think what I'm finding is agents are like, oh my God, I got someone on the phone. I'm going to try to sell my house over the phone. Like, it doesn't work that way.
No.
And so it's like a phase type of system. It's like, okay, made contact, great. Had a meaningful conversation, got details on what's going to happen. We know what the game plan is. Now it's time to execute that. Now it's time to follow up. Now it's time to go out and show houses. Now it's time to go write an offer. Like, those are all the things that have to happen. But if you're working with people that are just scatterbrained, and then the agent is also scatterbrained with the attention span of a gnat, not focusing, worried about social media, texting, and not focusing. See, this is the part that people don't realize, is that it takes effort and energy to get the focus in.
Right.
And they just want to, it'll just take care of itself.
They want it to be faster, and it's not. If you think about it, buying or selling a home is the most expensive thing you'll ever do.
And they want to rush through it like it's just a pepperoni pizza and take the leftovers home. Like, I don't get it.
No.
It's crazy.
It is crazy, but I love it.
It is fun. See, this is the sales part.
Exactly. And when you get them and you do get to have those conversations, how amazing is it?
It's priceless.
It's priceless. Like, I'll be on the phone for an hour and I think it's 5 minutes. Then you know you're really connected.
Yeah, because you're talking about some bean casserole in Minnesota, some Aunt Carol's hot dish recipes.
Oh, yeah. Aunt Carol's the best.
That 4 bean?
Oh, yes.
All right, so let's talk about us. And again, trial and error for many, 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 many years.
I was 19 when we met, Dave.
I was a young lad. What do you think, over these last couple of years, in terms of how we have gotten to a point to where doing what we do at the level we do and the goals and some of the vision that we have, which I know most people would be like, I don't even know how they do it.
We've been told that.
So
even by people that work with us.
But now we're going to do some stuff coming up in the near future that is really going to make people scratch their head. We'll save that for another episode. What do you think is one of the biggest things that's helping us now as a married couple in how we do business together at the level that we do, with as much activity as going on, what do you think contributes to that?
Oh, I can't wait to ask you the same thing. I feel like we're at this point, right? When we first started back in 2016, we decided we're going to get a coach to help us build the team and build it on a good foundation. And the best advice that we got was, what are your strengths? Write those down. What are my strengths? Write that down. And then you're in charge of your strengths and I'm in charge of my strengths. Because two alpha people it would clash otherwise, right?
Right.
And then when we get to that point where we need to kind of overlap is where we would consult with each other to, okay, what would be the best way to do this? And since we did that, it was the best money ever spent.
Yes. Priceless.
We kind of just had that role with each other that really works well. And even today,
we still do it.
We still do it. And I don't think
it's 8 years. 8 years we've been literally. I want people to realize that we have different workout schedules, but other than that, we're together literally 21 to 22 hours a day.
Yes.
Do you realize that there's some people that are like, there's absolutely, you can't even pay me to be with my spouse that long.
I don't know how I couldn't be with you that much. We laugh a lot. We're very honest with each other, even when it's uncomfortable. But that's to help each other grow.
Would you say, how often do we laugh?
22 times a day. Because it's usually something I say that's silly.
I think people, if they saw like how much we laugh, they'd be like, they need to be on medication. See?
Just like now.
There it is.
There it is. I think that's the important thing in any relationship, business relationship, personal relationship, is having the humor. Otherwise, it's a job, and I don't want one of those.
No. And again, when you're working with a spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it may be, this is where the communication, with our clients is important, but it's even more important, when it's you and I.
Right.
And I think we've gotten it to a point to where it's even like, we'll question each other, be like, hey, where's your bandwidth at?
That's always a good one.
Because if you're like, my bandwidth, I'm at maximum, I know not to mess with you. Whereas before, I would just like jump in and just be like fire hose you with, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to the next level, and this is how we're going to do it. And then you'd look at me like a stunned deer in the headlights and be like, okay, that sounds good. And then I would be crapped out.
Right.
Because I'm like, that's a really cool idea.
But then in my brain, I'm like, you just want to go there now. And that's like 5 years from now.
Right.
Really.
Because I'm the visionary. Like, let me, it's like it's like indirectly you just crap me out with my vision. And then I'm like, well, she's not into that. So I guess that's a bad idea.
Well, and we had to learn how to talk about that. So that's
right.
That's the bandwidth. And then also telling me, Kimmy, this isn't going to happen next week or next month or next year. I just want to talk through it. That really helps.
Do you enjoy it when I have the whiteboard waiting for you at 6 a.m.?
It came out last night, and I'm like, are we going? I just got home at 8:30.
Okay, so let's let people know. So in the morning, like, we literally have morning rituals to where we will do affirmations, journaling, reading. And so that's the way that we start our day. And so sometimes I get up earlier than she does, and I'll have like, oh my God, vision.
Clarity.
And I'll get the whiteboard out. So what happens is she'll walk around the corner to get her coffee, and I literally have a presentation waiting for her. And she'll be like,
slow your roll.
Stop. I need to wake up. Where's my coffee? And then I'm like a little kid going, you wake it? You wake it? You wake it? Like, can I tell you about my idea? And then boom. You're like, oh, I like that. That's fun.
It is.
I'm like a little kid at Christmas time when that happens.
And Dave is always like this. There's never a dull moment, I say. I had 3 kids. One's just a lot older than the other 2.
Which one's that? All right, what else do you want to talk about?
Whew, that was a good run.
So what's crazy is that now looking back, it's like, here we are 8 years later. What's weird is that I think in the last week or so, it was my official 8 years,
Right.
in the business. And, looking back, I mean, let's face it, like, I think it was year 2 or something, year 3, somewhere in there. It was like, no, it was year 2, May of 2017.
Okay.
And we had been slinging some real estate. And do you remember we made like $85,000 in 1 month? And I was like, holy shit. Like, that was like the best month ever.
Yes.
That was almost double of what we made when we were in the military, if not more. Like it was beyond. And I didn't realize how much money can be made. Okay. And you're like, I told you you'd be good at this. I'm like, yeah, I guess so. Like, we're doing something right.
We're doing something right.
But I think something triggered me personally when the team thing started, where we really started focusing on the team, and we started like helping others. And this is the part that I never thought, because I've always heard in you two, and again, we've always been good, like, people,
Right.
from the heart. I never realized how much satisfaction we would get by helping others. Because there's been multiple people on our team that have been able to afford a brand new house.
Single mom.
Single moms, single girl. I don't know how many new cars I've helped people. Everyone's like, Dave, help me with buying a car. I'm like, oh God, here we go. I'm going to the dealership for the next 4 hours. But we've had 3 or 4 or 5 people buy brand new cars. Like, we've literally changed some lives.
Help people pay off their college debt and that they never thought they could ever pay off.
A 40-some-year-old woman. Yeah.
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 Pretty touching.
What about Emily when she popped in?
Oh, gosh. So Emily popped in yesterday to say hello and bring her little baby Emma. And her story is probably the most touching to me, because here is this girl that had all this ability and kind of had that Jenny from the block talk. And I love that about her. It's that little spice.
Yeah, she's sassy.
Sassy. And I love it. But kind of getting to back to Emily, like, just knowing that she had it, that she had what she needed, but she didn't see it. And
she didn't believe in herself.
She didn't believe in herself. And having that hard conversation with her, it's like, do you want to do this or do you not want to do this? Because what you're doing isn't working. And she came from the world of playing basketball and sports. And so you used those analogies that she could understand. And it was a testament to see her come in yesterday when we didn't know she was coming.
I know.
Little shit. And then stand up in front of everyone else on the team to let them know, like, hey, we're coming from a place of love, but it was tough love. She
reminded me, she's like, okay, you were a lot harder than that. Because I believe so much in people. And what gets me so fired up is when they don't believe in themselves. It's like, and again, I was one of those people. I mean, I've had some people come and go out of our lives that have been impactful, that believed in me, but not go all in. And I think that that's the part that sometimes people have a hard time understanding. Like, why would this person, like, put so much effort into me? Why do they care so much? Like, what's going on? But that's what you do. Like, when you believe in someone, yes, they have to believe in themselves, but I still think, like, give that person a shot. Like,
absolutely.
Like, you have to. Because it's me being a human being and being a good person, like, to not put forth the effort into someone, knowing that if I just would push them just a little bit more, that could be the breaking point that could change their life, that could change the rest of the way life is for them. And if I don't do that, who else will?
Well, and it fuels you. That's the piece that gives us so much reward is like, yes, we can have all the sales we want and do this business and make a lot of money, but that's not the point.
Right.
And I don't know that everybody gets that. Like, we can make money.
Right.
But if it doesn't fulfill me, then what are we really doing? And I feel like since forming the team, we've had transition, we'll call it, of different kinds of personalities that maybe didn't align with us. But the ones that did align with us, that see the vision, and we were able to help them, it's pretty rewarding.
Well, and again, we're doubling down on ourselves.
Yes.
We're doubling down on ourselves to bring more value to our agents. And, with our training platform that we're putting together that's being launched, like, people will be able to get this on a daily basis, whether you're in Arizona or some other part of the country. Like, I want to see people win.
Yes.
Because if I can do it based off of where we came from and what we've gone through, I got you. I got the cheat sheet.
Yes.
I got it play by play of how to do this thing. And I think that's what's cool. And guess what? We get to do it together.
I know. How awesome is that?
My running partner.
Yeah, your little buddy.
My running partner. Listen, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Again, please, I'd love to hear how you feel about working with a spouse or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or another family member. Like, we want to know. And maybe if you're struggling on something, let us know. We might be able to help you. So make a comment below, shoot me a DM. Other than that, just make it a great day. This is the Sales Playbook Podcast. I'm Dave Panozzo. We're going to talk about sales. Sales is something that is very near and dear to me. I got into sales in 1993. And since then, I have learned so much over the years. And sales is something that is a unique trade that a lot of people don't know about. Sales is all ages. As long as you can walk and talk, you can always do sales. Whether you're young, whether you're old, it doesn't matter. Even if you're just starting out, sales is something that makes the world go around. There is no ceiling on how much money you can make in sales, and I want to unlock that on this podcast. So stay tuned.